What's going down, y'all? Welcome back to the station. Welcome back to the channel. It's one half of the Wake Up Crew, Ray G, here to talk some college football prop plays over on PrizePicks for the Saturday slate, October the 8th, 2022. And quick recap of what we talked about last week. We had Devon Achane over his fantasy score on the ticket, that cash. We also had Bijan Robinson over 21.5 fantasy points. He had 21.5 fantasy points right on the money, so that pushed. And then KJ Jefferson over 1.5 rushing, receiving, and passing touchdowns. That sucker couldn't get in the end zone. He had 1 touchdown, so that did not hit for us. So overall, not a bad Saturday, but we're going to get it back on track this Saturday. We're taking a look at 3 running backs today. I'll mention a 4th, but he is going up against a good defense, so I'm not going to recommend him as a core play. We got 3 good running backs this weekend. I think we can target for our plays over on PrizePicks. Always mix and match. As always, we don't make you pay for picks. I walk you through my thought process, my analysis. Take what you like, leave what you don't. All we do is ask that you hit a thumbs up button, like the content. Let us know in the comments below who you're playing. And if you're doing this on PrizePicks and you want $100 free, if you're a new depositor, you put in 100 PrizePicks to give you 100. So let's pull up the board and get right to it. And I want to start out in a game that's projected to be a 69 point total right now, with TCU favored by 7 points in this matchup. I think you can attack this game in 2 ways. Max Duggan, his fantasy score at 25.5 versus Oklahoma last week. He had 47.26, and I think his fantasy score was at 21.5, and he cashed that in the first half. Versus Kansas, this should be a high-scoring matchup. I do like Max Duggan in this matchup, and I also like his running mate, Kendra Miller. If I could get the name typed in right. Let's do this and pull up Miller, and this is one of the core plays. Kendra Miller, his rushing yards at 94.5. We have him projected in our book for 104. You see what he's done over the past 2 weeks versus SMU, 142, and versus Oklahoma, 136. Right now, Kendra Miller, 20% usage rate on that team. The next running back is less than 10% usage rate on TCU. The only player on TCU's team that has a higher usage rate than Kendra Miller is Max Duggan, the quarterback. He gets 36% usage rate on rush attempts, 17% usage rate for the next running back. So Kendra Miller on a team where he's a focal point of this offense. Kansas is really good. They got Jalen Daniels at quarterback. They're going to score points. The books say this should be a high-scoring game. Kendra Miller is going to be a big part of the reason why. I love his rushing yards at 94.5, rocking with Kendra Miller on some mix and match. I also want to go to a showdown, and this is a primetime player and a primetime matchup. Texas running back Bijan Robinson. A lot of people on the receiving yards on the books. This is minus like 120 on the books at 18.5. I like the receiving yards. He has not gone under this one time this season. Every game over 18.5 receiving yards. Love it for Bijan Robinson. If you're a little weary on that, you could take the rushing yards. Now, he's failed to hit this quite often this season. You see he's only gone over 104 one time this season, and that was versus UTSA. But Bijan in primetime matchups, he had 136 yards last year versus Oklahoma, and he only had 1 reception in that game. They're just going to give him the ball. He's going to put on a show. Red River Showdown. Right now, Bijan Robinson, 32% usage rate overall on that team, 58% usage rate on rushing downs, and 20% usage rate on passing downs. Texas is favored in this matchup by 7.5 with a projected point total of 65. I'm going to rock with the receiving yards for Bijan, but I think I might mix and match the receiving yards and the rushing yards. I think either would be in play. And Bijan is due for a good game. And, actually, Kendra Miller just gashed Oklahoma last week for, I think, $150. I think Bijan Robinson's going to have his way with this team to put on a show, Red River Showdown. Let's go Bijan Robinson over 104.5 yards. We have him projected for 115 over here in our model, so it looks good. We actually have the receiving yards projected right at 18. So some of you got Bijan Robinson at 15.5 receiving yards. I like that a lot more. I do like 104.5, and hell, maybe even 122 rushing plus receiving is the better way to go. If you like both numbers, this might be the better play right here, 122.5 right there. Let's just rock with it. I truly think process-wise, we like both numbers. You might as well give yourself a little bit of a buffer and go with both. You might rip off a long screenplay. That's not going to preclude him from getting 20-plus touches in this one. Going with Bijan Robinson, more than 122.5 rushing and receiving yards in this matchup. I also want to highlight, honestly, one of the best running backs in the country that nobody's talking about, Keyshawn Judkins, the true freshman phenom from Ole Miss. And right now, our model doesn't even it's not even accounting for him as a freshman, But look at what Judkins has done this season. He has cruised past this number every game this season, right? 104, 98, 140, and 106. He leads the team in overall usage for running backs with 19%. Zach Evans is sitting at 17% usage rate, 31% rushing usage rate for Judkins, opposed to Evans' 26% usage on rushing downs. And he's also getting some, not much receiving work, but he might catch a pass here or there. That's why I'm not touching the fantasy score. Zach Evans was a little banged up last week. Judkins versus Vanderbilt, who's given up about 150 yards on the ground per game, number 9 team in the country. I like Bijan Judkins in this one, over 90.5 rushing yards. Absolutely love it. And I believe Ole Miss is favored, by 17.5 points. Vandy gives up 158 per game to running backs. So these are the 3 core plays I like. Kendra Miller, more than 94.5 rushing yards. Bijan, more than 122.5 rushing and receiving yards. Bijan Judkins, over 90.5 rushing yards. And I'll throw this one out here right now because he looks good in the model. And they actually bumped him. Never mind. Anthony Grant, I was going to recommend over 100.5 rushing yards. And look at that. They bumped it up to 105. Rutgers is pretty stingy versus the run. But you talk about usage rate is insane for Anthony Grant. 33% overall usage rate and 55% usage rate on rushing downs. I don't like it at 105, though. So looking at it right now, I'm going to stay away. I was going to recommend Anthony Grant for if you wanted one more. But at 105, don't like it as much as I did before. So there you go. Kendra Miller, Bijan Robinson, Bijan Judkins. I like all 3 of those. Remember, mix and match these plays. At least that's how I do them. You do what you want, but mix and match, bankroll management, unit allocation, all that good stuff. So appreciate you tapping in. I hope you enjoy college football this weekend. We got a lot of good games. And, man, stay tapped into the comments. If I find additional plays that look good, I'll just drop them in the comments, pin them on the top of the chat. So, as always, take what you like, leave what you don't. Just hit the thumbs up button and let me know who you're rocking with below. I appreciate y'all tapping in. Enjoy the games this weekend. We'll have NFL plays tomorrow. Good luck, and let's cash out. I'm out of this thing. Peace.